One of the hardest moments I see in my clinic is not the diagnosis itself. It's what happens 10 minutes after. You're handed a report, maybe 4 or 5 pages. The developmental pediatrician says a few things, you nod, then you walk out, and the reality hits. You have the diagnosis. But nobody has told you what to do tomorrow morning. And here's where most parents get lost. Not because they don't care, but because there's simply no roadmap. You go home, you Google, and within 30 minutes, you found 47 different therapies, 12 diets, and 100 conflicting opinions. It's overwhelming. Now see, I've been doing this for years at Giggles clinics. I've sat with hundreds of parents in that exact chair. And what I tell all my parents is this: the first 30 days after diagnosis are more important than the next 3 years, if you use them right. Today, I'm going to give you a simple 4-step roadmap. It's called PATH, P-A-T-H. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do and in what order. Now, here's the most important thing to remember. The brain doesn't wait for us to figure things out. Between age 2 and 5, synaptic connections are forming at a rapid rate. It's just like a city laying down its highway system. Every experience, every interaction, every therapy session is either building a new road or missing the chance to build one. After age 5, the pace slows down. Not that the progress stops. I want to be very clear about that. It is not that every child cannot make gains later. But the efficiency, the speed of learning, that's highest in the early years. Now, research has shown, and this is something I discuss with every parent, early intervention, when started within the first 3 to 6 months after concerns arise, leads to significantly better outcomes. So the clock is real. But here's what most parents don't realize. Rushing into everything at once is actually worse than doing nothing. Let me explain. Once you get the diagnosis, the urgency makes you feel like you need to start everything tomorrow. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA, biomedical interventions, diet changes, sensory integration. The list is endless. And parents come to me and say, "Doctor, we've enrolled him in 5 therapies. Why isn't he improving?" Now see, that's the trap. When we deal with too many interventions at once, 2 things happen. Number 1, the child gets overwhelmed. Their nervous system, and as I have told in my previous videos, the autonomic nervous system in autism functions differently. It cannot handle that much input at once. You're essentially flooding an already sensitive system. Number 2, and this is what most parents don't consider. When you're doing 5 things at once, you cannot tell which one is working. Is it the speech therapy, the diet, the sensory program? You have no data. So you keep doing all 5, burning out the child and yourself with no clarity. So the P in PATH stands for pause. Take 7 to 10 days. Just observe. Write down what your child can do right now. Not what they can't do, but what they can do. How do they communicate? Do they point? Do they pull your hand? What sounds do they make? What foods do they accept? What triggers a meltdown? What calms them down? This becomes your baseline. And without a baseline, you cannot measure progress. So first thing to do is pause, breathe, and observe. Now coming to the A, assess. Before you spend a single rupee on any therapy, there is one question you must answer. And in my experience, 90% of parents skip it. What is the single biggest barrier for this child right now? Not for autism in general, not what the internet says. For your child, sitting in your home, eating your food, interacting with your family. Because, and I cannot emphasize this enough, no 2 children on the spectrum are similar. I have one child in my clinic who is completely nonverbal, but has beautiful eye contact and social connection. Another child speaks in full sentences but cannot handle any sensory input. Their needs are completely different. If I gave them the same therapy plan, I would be doing a disservice to both. So here's what you do. Pick one priority, not 5, 1. Is it communication? Is it sensory regulation? Is it sleep? Is it feeding? Now, why does this matter? Because if a child is not sleeping, maybe sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night, and you're putting all your energy into speech therapy, what's going to happen? A sleep deprived brain cannot learn. It's just like trying to teach someone while they're underwater. The words don't reach. So, assessment is about sequencing. What comes first? What builds the foundation for everything else? And do it very realistically. Do not rush behind speech, especially expressive speech. You need to see if there are more important factors before that, like sitting tolerance, eye contact, waiting, name call, behavior issues, understanding, etc. So be very practical and honest in deciding this. Now, this brings us to T, therapies. And here, the important thing we should remember is not all therapies have equal evidence. And the order in which you start them can make or break your child's progress. The foundation, what I tell all my parents is, starts with sensory regulation. If a child is in sensory overload, covering ears, unable to sit, constantly moving, the nervous system is not in a state to learn. Occupational therapy, specifically sensory integration therapy, helps regulate that system. Once the sensory system is more regulated, and this typically takes anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to start seeing the changes, then you layer in communication. Not for words at this stage, but for the precursors to speech: eye contact, joint attention, imitation, turn taking. These are the building blocks. So here, play therapy builds a huge foundation, followed by speech therapy. Only after these two foundations are in place do we look at more targeted interventions: behavioral support, social skills groups, biomedical interventions if indicated. Also understand the order can change for every child as needed. Behavior might be needed to address before moving to play or speech. Or biomedical intervention might need to be started with sensory integration. So to get clarity on this, you need to talk it out with your developmental pediatrician. Now, another very important thing I see parents starting last that should actually be addressed early, in fact from the very beginning, is parent training. Research has shown that when parents are trained in how to interact with their child at home, the gains from therapy multiply. Because the child spends maybe 3 to 4 hours a week in therapy, but they spend every waking hour with you. Having done PAT, now comes the H, and this is where most of the actual progress happens: home. Because here's what the data tells us, and this is important. A therapy session gives you the tools, but the home gives you the practice field. The child is with the therapist for maybe 45 minutes, 3 or 5 times a week. That's about 2 to 4 hours. The remaining 166 hours in the week, that's all you. Now, what does home actually mean? It means 3 things. First, routine. Children on the autism spectrum thrive on predictability. When meals, sleep, play, and therapy happen at roughly the same time every day, the nervous system settles. It knows what's coming. There's less anxiety, fewer meltdowns. Second, the environment. Now, see, parents often ask me, "Doctor, should we buy special equipment?" And I tell them, start with what you have. Reduce clutter, reduce noise, soften the lighting if the child is sensitive. Create one corner in the house that is their safe space. A small tent, a beanbag, a few favored toys. This is not expensive, but it makes a world of difference. And third, and this is what I want you to walk away with: connection over correction. The single most powerful tool you have is not any therapy. It's the way you interact with your child. When your child brings you a toy, do you join their world for 30 seconds before redirecting? When they are stimming, do you let them regulate before demanding eye contact? These small shifts in how you respond, this is where the neural connections get strengthened. So parents, let me bring it all together. P. Pause. Take 7 to 10 days. Observe. Build your baseline. A. Assess. Pick one priority. What is the single biggest barrier for your child? T. Therapies. Start with sensory regulation. Layer in communication. Then behavioral. and bring yourself into the process through parent training. H. Home. Routine, environment, and connection over correction. This is where the real work happens. Now, these things have to be individualized from child to child. There is no one size fits all approach to autism. What works for one child may not work for another. But the path framework, the pause before rushing, the assessment of the individual child, the right therapy sequence, and the home as the center of progress, this applies to every family. If you're a parent sitting with a new diagnosis right now, I want you to take a breath. You are not behind, you are not failing. You just didn't have the roadmap. Now you do. Drop your question in the comments. What's the one thing you're most confused about after your child's diagnosis? And I'll address the most common ones in a follow-up video. If this video helped you, share it with another parent who needs to hear this. And subscribe, because we make videos like this every week to help you navigate this journey with clarity, not confusion.